Hello, I'm Sydney Mansoff from Northeast Magnet High School.
And I'm Samantha Gales from Northwest High School. We're a part of Teens Hope, teens helping others through peer education.
We are here to talk about HIV and AIDS. Whether you think so or not, that is something that affects teenagers your age. So you need to know the facts. HIV stands for Human Immunodeficiency Virus. Human refers to people, not animals or insects. Only people can have HIV. Immunodeficiency is a combination of the words immune and deficiency. Your immune system helps your body fight off infections that make you sick. A deficiency is not having enough of something. So immunodeficiency is not having enough of an immune system to be able to fight off infections. A virus is a very small germ.
There are two important parts of the immune system that are affected by HIV: T cells and antibodies. T cells are white blood cells that are kind of like the boss of the immune system. HIV attacks and kills T cells. Antibodies are the fighters or the army of the immune system. Antibodies try to kill off HIV. They kill some, but they can never kill it all. Antibodies are created by B cells, which are told what to do by T cells. When too many T cells have been attacked and die, there is no boss to tell the B cells what to do. Therefore, no antibodies get created, and the body can no longer attack or kill off HIV.
HIV can be transmitted through 4 fluids. To transmit is to pass or carry from one person to another. It can be transmitted by blood, semen, vaginal fluids, or breast milk. Semen is a fluid that carries sperm. Vaginal fluid is fluid that coats and protects the inside of the vagina. You cannot catch HIV like you can catch a cold. It must be transmitted. It must be transmitted through one of those 4 fluids, otherwise you are not at risk. This means there are lots of ways people don't get HIV, such as kissing, toilet seats, swimming pools, saliva or spit, tears, pee or urine, mosquitoes, and more.
Now we're going to look into the life of someone that becomes HIV positive. This is Student X. Student X could be male, female, Hispanic, Asian, thin, overweight, rich, or poor. Student X could be anyone in this school, or even anyone in this room. However, for the purpose of this presentation, Student X is a 14-year-old high school freshman boy, and he is HIV positive, but he doesn't know it yet.
How might he have gotten infected? He could have had unprotected sex without a condom, shared needles, or got it from his infected mother during her pregnancy, during birth, or while breastfeeding. We hope most students in middle or high school are not having sex, but Student X is. He got infected with HIV 1 week ago by having sex without a condom with someone who has HIV.
We're going to take a look at Student X's life as he grows and as his HIV infection grows with him. Keep in mind that HIV affects a person's body very differently if they have the right medicine versus having no medicine at all. Student X could find out that he has HIV if he knew to get tested. An HIV test does not test for the virus in your body, but for the presence of antibodies trying to fight off the virus. Remember that antibodies are the fighters in your immune system that fight off germs. It takes 3 months for your body to build up enough antibodies to show up on a test that you have HIV. Student X got infected 1 week ago, so even if he were to get tested right now, there would not be enough antibodies built up to let him know that he is HIV positive.
Student X feels fine. He has no symptoms whatsoever, so he doesn't even think to go get tested. About 1 in 5 people in the U.S. with HIV do not know they are infected yet. But just because Student X doesn't know and doesn't have any symptoms does not mean he cannot give HIV to someone else. In fact, since he recently got infected and his body has not had the chance to build up his army of antibodies, there is a higher risk of him giving HIV to someone else by either sharing needles with them or having unprotected sex with them. Probably for years, Student X will feel just fine and will not have any symptoms to show that he is infected with HIV.
Student X will continue to do the things he loves to do. He will feel fine, he will look fine, and he will continue to go to school. This is called being asymptomatic. It doesn't mean that the HIV has gone away, because it hasn't. It just means while the virus is multiplying in his body and killing off his T cells, as it multiplies, he will probably not show any symptoms or signs of having HIV. The average person with HIV is in this asymptomatic phase, where he or she feels perfectly healthy for up to 10 years.
Fast forward to 10 years from now, Student X is now 24 years old. He has still never been tested. If he would have been tested, he could have started treatment before the HIV started depleting his immune system. But he didn't.
So now that HIV has taken over his body and his immune system is failing, HIV has killed off most of his T cells, so he is tired and many days he can't get out of bed. He often suffers from diarrhea and nausea. People with HIV and not on medication get lots of different infections and conditions that their body just can't fight off very well. Some of these conditions include certain life-threatening cancers, pneumonias, and other things that people with healthy immune systems almost never get. Student X goes to the doctor to find out why he is so sick, and the doctor tells him that he has AIDS.
A healthy person has about 1,200 T cells in their body. HIV has killed so many of Student X's T cells that he only has 200 left. When a person has 200 or less T cells, their HIV infection has become AIDS. AIDS stands for Acquired Immune Deficiency Syndrome. To acquire is to get. HIV is something that you can only get from someone who has the infection. Remember that immune refers to your immune system, and deficiency is not enough of something. A syndrome is a collection of symptoms and signs. AIDS is the last stage of an HIV infection, when HIV has destroyed so much of your immune system that it no longer has the ability to fight off infections, and you start to have a variety of signs, symptoms, and dangerous diseases.
Now that Student X has AIDS, he goes in and out of the hospital multiple times. First, he gets pneumonia and goes into the hospital to get it treated. When he is over that, he goes home. A few months later, he gets a serious eye infection and goes back to the hospital. The hospital treats him and he goes home. This goes on for several months until his body just can't handle it anymore. Student X dies from an infection that his immune system could not fight off and the hospital could not treat.
So that is the life of someone who had HIV and didn't get tested. If Student X had gotten tested and started taking effective treatment, his life may have been very different. He would have been taking several pills every day by now. Some people, especially those who have been treated for a long time, may need to take lots of pills every day, up to 10 or more at least twice a day. If he skipped any pills or took them at the wrong time, they could stop working.
Treatment for HIV is meant to help people live longer with the disease. However, treatment can be very complicated. Many times the pills cause side effects. So even though the HIV is being controlled by medication, the pills may cause him to have nausea, diarrhea, diabetes, insomnia, excessive sweating, and more. The pills don't always work for everyone. Some people take them, and yet HIV continues to multiply and damage their body. The pills are also very expensive. If Student X has insurance, his insurance might help pay for his medication. If he doesn't have the insurance, he will have to find some other way of coming up with the money to afford all the pills he is going to need.
Let's take a moment to look at some people who are infected and have had to deal with HIV and AIDS, just like Student X has. Now that you have seen what a life with HIV and AIDS can be like, let's rewind and go back to the day Student X got infected. Student X got infected by having unprotected sex with someone who had HIV.
What could Student X have done differently to protect himself from ever becoming infected? He could have chosen abstinence, or to not have sex. Abstinence is a fancy word for choosing not to do something.
He could have chosen to practice monogamy. Monogamy is when two people only have sex with each other. If both people have been tested and know that they are not infected with HIV, and both partners are faithful and do not cheat on their partner, then monogamy provides protection against HIV infection.
Student X also could have used condoms to protect himself from HIV. Condoms greatly reduce the risk of HIV infections. They also protect against other sexually transmitted infections and protect against unwanted pregnancies. Condoms are very effective, but only when used correctly and consistently, meaning every time.
So what would you have done differently? If you have ever had unprotected sex, shared needles, had unprotected sex with someone who has shared needles, or have ever been so drunk or high that you can't remember what happened, then you need to be ready to answer that question and get yourself tested.
In the state of Kansas, you can go get tested, get a pregnancy test, or get birth control at the age of 13 without parental consent. Here are some of the clinics in Wichita that offer these services. Services are offered on a sliding fee scale, so it is based on your income. If you do not have an income, then services are very cheap or even free. Most of these locations also offer free condoms for those that do not have the ability to go purchase their own.
As you can see, kids your age are at risk, but there are many steps that you can take to keep yourself safe. Your actions today can affect the rest of your life.